Hello, so let's talk about UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. It's one of the most interesting sports. It's violent, it's brutal, it's extreme, it's bloody, and at the same time, it's very entertaining for audience. For any fighting fans around the world, UFC is one of the most exciting fighting sports. But UFC, seems like a sport for some uneducated guys who loves fighting with people. Most fighters are like a kid in the neighborhood who loves bullying other kid. They talk too much. They brag about their talent or their techniques. It's too much. They just don't have the discipline other than training like a gorilla in a gym. Most of them filled with anger, violence, hatred. I don't understand what's going on in your head. If they can be more professionals or more educated for the sports, then it will be able to go up to that level of any other sports like boxing is one interesting sports, but it's not that exciting. It's kind of boring in some ways. And the UFC sports needs to be refined as well. Fighting on the ground can be very boring to watch for fans, especially when they are in that sex position. That jiu-jitsu, I know, there's some kind of techniques in there, but it's just ridiculous to watch sometimes, especially man in that ridiculous position with another man on the ground. I don't like how UFC is being controlled by one man, and his name is Dana White. It seems like all the fighters are under his control, and he can strip any champions if they disagree or disobey him. It's like a gladiator time in Rome where all fighters are slaves and they are under the master's command. It's just ridiculous. If they can have this independent choice to decide whom to fight or whom not to fight. Because in UFC, all the champions, if Dana White wants the champion to fight with another, unknown fighter, then the champion, the fighter, has to do it. It just doesn't make sense. In boxing, it's more systematic, it's more independent, it's better. The fighter can choose and they have a choice. There are lots of incredible fighters in UFC like Randy Couture and Rampage Jackson, Chris Whiteman, Anderson Silva, Tito Ortiz. So many good, extreme, excellent fighters, but they need to have more this discipline and more refined in the sports and the systems. All these exciting things like breaking arms, legs. Their faces are torn sometimes. It's brutal, it's ugly, it's extreme. I don't know if it is right or not, but it's interesting in a way. But sometimes it can be very inhumane. They are all incredible athletes, but UFC needs to revolutionize, especially now. I think Cain Velasquez is the best UFC fighter right now. He's all rounded, the best, nice, decent man who don't waste his time on trash talking. He's not the biggest in the heavyweight, but he's the best in all round fight. He's one of the best at the moment right now. I don't know for other people. Anderson Silva, he was a good fighter, but he's become more arrogant and cocky with that. He was completely destroyed by Chris Whiteman and all these nuisance trash talking people like yeah, Nick Diaz and all. It just spoiled the image of UFC. Sometimes you have to commercialize by all those things, but every time it seems like they have to keep saying this again and again and again, and then they're gonna lose when they fight. It just doesn't make sense. So what is your favorite or what is your topmost fighter in UFC? For me, number one it would be Cain Velasquez and John Jones. He's a good fighter, but he's kind of cocky. He's kind of arrogant. But he need to behave. He's still young, but I don't know. I mean, come on, young or old, everybody needs to behave. Have a little bit of common sense in behaving themselves. To give a good image to young fighters around the world instead of you know being cocky with all those success. It just doesn't make sense. And right now Ronda Rousey is one of the most uh, exciting and the best female fighter in UFC. I don't know if she can win with against Cyborg, but Cyborg is like a man, she's like a man. I don't understand, she's so manly looking with all muscular and then nerve and but UFC in general, it has to change, it has to revolutionize, it has to be more organized. The systems need to be changed, because right now it's just every fighter doesn't have this high level like the boxing. They don't have that classy level.